Let's go live to New York now. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese is speaking to the media.
A strong contribution to public or private sector activity in Australia are prepared to represent our nation overseas. And what Heather brings, of course, to New York is that breadth of knowledge across the private sector and the engagement, and the fact that there are so many serious business leaders here at this forum is in part a tribute, no doubt, to Heather's connections and the work that she's doing here, but also it's a tribute to Australia and the fact that we are a great destination for capital, and increasingly we have real opportunities going forward as well. I do want to thank Macquarie as well for hosting this event, a fantastic Australian company and a great Australian success story. Wherever you go around the world, Macquarie has a presence, and they employ Australians around the world, and they engage in investment and are great representatives of Australia. Australia is, of course, a great trading nation. We believe in free and fair trade. We're open for business, and we want more capital investing because that means more jobs created in Australia. And what today's about as well is the opportunities that are there. As I said to the potential business investors downstairs, we have all the things that you would be looking for if you were trying to make up what are the ideal attributes that make you an attractive investment destination. They're having the right resources under the ground, in the sky, that will power the world, the global economy in the 21st century. They're a good, skilled workforce. They're a solid legal and political system. They are a belief in free and fair trade and the rule of law. So we are, I think, increasingly an attractive destination. The fact that you have CEOs of major companies like Goldman Sachs and others represented downstairs says something about that. My government's Future Made in Australia agenda is about making more things in Australia, taking up, seizing the opportunities which are there right before us as we go forward. And today is about showcasing what an attractive investment location Australia is. We'll host a forum in November as well with potential investors in Australia. This is one of the things that came out of the economic roundtable that Jim Chalmers hosted just a month ago. Our Future Made in Australia agenda aims to maximise the opportunities as we move towards net zero global environment, and to create jobs, put simply, and to continue to see our economy grow. If you look at the global economy, we are in a very strong position. We have a AAA credit rating from all three agencies. We've had consistent economic growth each and every quarter. We have inflation that's down to just over 2%. We have unemployment which is low at 4.2%, and we have an economy that's seeing real wages growing. We're seeing interest rates decreasing, seeing Australia be in a very strong position. And today I wanted to seize the opportunity of being here in New York for the United Nations to make sure that we were able to present we're going to go back and continue to talk with the businesses after this press conference as well. But thank you very much to Heather and the Australian Embassy and Consulate staff for organising today. I'll go to Minister Bowen, then we're happy to take some questions.
Thanks, Prime Minister. Well, last week the Prime Minister and I released an emissions reduction target which we said was ambitious and achievable, and it's also investable. And that's been the very strong feedback from investors here in New York, with whom I've met this week, who are excited about the investment opportunities in Australia's energy transition. And as the Prime Minister said, we just met with a whole bunch who either are investing in Australia or who are now planning on investing in Australia. And our whole policy setting when it comes to energy and climate is about a welcoming, stable, warm policy environment for investors who help us reduce emissions and reduce bills. And whether it is large-scale utility or working as an entrepreneur in the transition which in Australia runs through houses on rooftops and garages with our highest rooftop solar penetration in the world, and now 1,000 Australians a day, hitting 65,000 now today, home batteries installed. There's a lot of interest and excitement in Australia. Our target has been noticed by governments around the world who've told us that they're impressed, and has been noticed even more importantly by investors around the world who tell me it is investable. It is a guide to what the Australian government can see as the opportunities, because it's realistic, because it's not something which they regard as too ambitious, but because it is ambitious enough, it is regarded as a very strong investment signal to help us meet our targets. The private sector is raring to go, so it's been great to be here with the Prime Minister this week to progress that conversation with governments and investors around the world. PM.
Andrew.
You're on about renewables today, on the day that Donald Trump has told the UN General Assembly, you're about to meet Donald Trump next month, so he's told the UN General Assembly climate change isn't real and renewables are a con job. What are you going to say to Donald Trump about renewables and climate change?
Well, my job is to be the Australian Prime Minister and to seize the opportunities that are there for Australia. And Australia has a challenge of climate change, but we also have an opportunity to benefit our economy, to grow jobs. We certainly are embarking on that, and we have a positive, constructive agenda.
What do you make of this conference?
Glad the meeting at the White House is locked in and are you looking forward to it?
Well, of course, as I've said, President Trump agreed to a meeting some time ago. We had another chat about it on the phone, and we'll have a meeting in Washington, D.C. on October 20.
Prime Minister, are you worried about this?
Or maybe to Mr. Barr.
Here. Yeah.
Chris, in your speech you downstairs you referenced the desirability in terms of investment of the COP summit. Both of you have been working on that this week. Excuse me, you're not going to break that impasse this week. Can you tell us where we're up to?
Ongoing discussions is where we're up to. The situation remains the same. The support internationally for Australia's bid is overwhelming, absolutely overwhelming. Out of the 28 members of our group, at least 23 support our bid, as I've said before. But the COP process does work on consensus. That's why I've had good and positive conversations with Turkey. When there's more to say, we'll say more.
Can I ask one on that too, Mr. Dobbs? Do you think if Australia does get COP, that we will be able to secure Xi Jinping and Donald Trump's attendance?
Oh, well, let's just focus on the bid first. World leaders attend COPs in various forms, in various opportunities. Every COP is different.
But sorry, just to follow up on that, sorry, Ian.
You all right?
I guess I'm asking, is it worth hosting COP with those two billion Australians?
Look, absolutely. The COP is the biggest trades fair in the world, and with all due respects, trade and investment decisions are made by a lot of people, not just world leaders. They're made by chief executives, chairs, board members, investment directors. We do want a very investment-focused COP on investing in Australia's renewable energy superpower, as well as lifting the agenda of the Pacific, the very existence of several countries is at stake. They're our two key objectives. Hosting the COP in Adelaide, with all due respect to world leaders, having investors and board directors and ministers there will be a very, very big step forward for our country.
Yeah. Jeff, and then we'll go around.
Prime Minister, you sat through Donald Trump's 57-minute address this morning and you got to hear his views of the world. What in his speech did you like or agree with?
Oh, look, I'm not a commentator. I'll leave that to you and the columnists. But it was a great privilege to be at the United Nations this morning to hear President Trump and other leaders, the Secretary General of the United Nations and others put forward their perspectives. I'll be putting forward Australia's perspective tomorrow night, and I very much look forward to it. It's an incredible honour to represent Australia here. It was an honour to speak yesterday. It's quite an extraordinary room. I haven't been to the United Nations before, and it was a privilege to be there. Matthew?
In your phone conversation with Donald Trump, did he commit to selling Australia the nuclear-powered submarines, or do you need to lock in support for AUKUS when you go to Washington?
What I do is have discussions with President Trump that are diplomatic and where we have discussions with each other. I don't broadcast everything. I broadcast what we agreed to. That's the way I've dealt with President Trump, respectfully, and that's how I deal with other world leaders behind you. Yeah.
Trump has been critical of foreign countries that impose regulations on American tech companies. Regardless of his opinions on that, I think would you stand by some
Look, we determine, we're a sovereign nation, and we'll determine our position, and we're driven here by something that is necessary and something that we have a mandate for. On December 10, I think it's the right date, that it clicks in 1 year after the legislation was passed on a bipartisan basis through the Parliament. Tomorrow morning, we'll hear from Emma, who lost a child. That will be a powerful moment here, and there will be other leaders as well will attend that forum. This is something that Australian parents, Australian families, and I think young people as well overwhelmingly want to see. Yep, and then there. Yeah.
Does it make a difference to you that the Trump meeting will happen in Washington and on the sidelines of the summit? And secondly, will it be hard to justify the third trip to the United States for you in 4 months?
No, well, I've been to the United States now to San Francisco, San Diego, Philadelphia, Washington, Seattle, here. So it will be my 7th visit to the United States as Prime Minister. The United States is an important relationship for us, and today the meetings, as I foreshadowed, in spite of some of the commentary, as I foreshadowed, if people listen to what we say, we had agreed on a meeting, and today the meetings that President Trump are having, he's in New York for 1 day, are understandably focused on peace in the Middle East. So there's a meeting with the Middle East countries, Saudis, etc., but also Indonesia and some of the large Muslim population countries as well, Muslim majority countries. That is obviously leading into the meeting that will be held later this week with Prime Minister Netanyahu. And in addition to that, there's a meeting with President Zelensky. I'll be attending the forum that we were with President Trump that he's hosting later today. And that is exactly what we expected, and that's what we told people was going to happen.
Prime Minister, President Trump said renewables are a joke, green energy is a scam, wind turbines are pathetic, and climate change is the greatest one-job perpetrator on the world. Is it an obligation on you to actually counteract some of that language? We hear it in Australia as well. Could it affect investment and public perception in Australia?
I don't know if you saw downstairs, there's a room full of people wanting to invest downstairs right now. My job is to represent Australia's national interest. President Trump gave a speech. He's entitled to give that speech and to put his views. I don't think that there are any views that he hasn't said before.
Just on that.
Yeah.
Prime Minister, do you hope to meet with President Erdogan? Would you make the case for the Pacific as a co-host of the COP talks?
Well, the Pacific is important. The point here is one of the things that's complicated is that it's a joint bid by Australia and the Pacific. So any arrangements that are come to, we will discuss with our Pacific neighbours as we have been. I've already had discussions with a range of the Pacific leaders who are here as well. I will be having discussions with President Erdogan as well. I've had a short discussion with the Foreign Minister as well, and my ministers and Turkish ministers are having those discussions constructively. Well, they're having discussions constructively. We don't give out all of the details of timing of meetings that occur, because what I do is engage diplomatically with respect, and I must say that that is the way I deal across the board.
The other today is, are you actively trying to bring investments from the US or indeed Europe that, given Trump's green scam language, attract investment from the US to Australia?
We're trying to attract investment from a range of nations. The US is an important investor in Australia. Our two-way trading relationship is substantial. US enjoys a trade surplus with Australia. Increasingly, we're seeing increased investment from Australia, particularly from superannuation funds here, but it's also two-way investment. I've spoken with 3 different companies downstairs who've established offices in the last few months since our election in May. That's a good thing. I just spoke to someone who's employed 10 people in Sydney and are going to employ 10 more between now and Christmas. That's a great thing. We want investment.
Prime Minister, during the election campaign, you said on the second debate that Donald Trump didn't have a mobile. Since then, we've seen...
I did not say that. I did not say that. Don't verbal me, but yeah.
Well, what do you think you said?
Well, I didn't say that.
Well, what do you think you said?
I didn't.
The quote is there.
I didn't say that, but anyway, keep going. If I did, it's called a joke. Humour.
Oh, you were joking.
Delightful. Well, obviously he has a mobile, and anyone who actually saw the context would know that. But yeah, let's
okay, cool. Thank you. Thanks, Liam. So,
you don't ring. The point I was making was, between leaders of nations, you organise phone calls, you have note takers, you do it in rooms where mobiles aren't allowed. That's the point. That's the way that you deal between the United States President and the Australian Prime Minister.
That's what I wanted to ask you about, because last night we saw Emmanuel Macron pull out his phone and call the President direct. Keir Starmer, your other good friend in Europe, has also talked about texting Trump directly. Do you have Trump's number yet? Do you contact him personally?
I don't go into any of those details.
No, but isn't your failure to do the same why we've had to wait so long for a first face-to-face between you and the President?
No, it's not.
President, just in the last couple of hours, President Trump in the last couple of hours seemed to have a bit of a mea culpa on the Ukraine war. He said that his friendship with Putin doesn't seem to have come to anything, and he now thinks that Ukraine can fight and win back all of its territory. Do you believe that mea culpa, and what do you make?
Sorry, I haven't seen those comments, and I don't comment on the basis of...
What about your...
I don't comment. Our position on Ukraine is clear. What I don't do is comment on things that I haven't seen. I've obviously been in meetings, so...
Will the Ambassador Rudd, attend the White House meeting?
Well, I assume so. That's what happens.
Just back on COP, just for clarity,
Sure.
Are you confident you'll have a resolution by the end of this week?
We don't know. That's the truth. We're working through, but it requires a consensus. It's not something... I'm confident if there was a vote that we would have majority support.
Can you sort of give us a hint what the deal is, the office reserve?
No.
Are you concerned that Donald Trump might whack you at the White House like he's done to other leaders and several leaders?
Oh, we have a good relationship. We've had respectful calls. Australia and the United States are great partners. I expect it to be very constructive.
Are we still looking for tariff relief, or are we accepting the 10% baseline
Well,
tariff?
what we do is we have meetings, and we have them respectfully, and that means not foreshadowing everything we have in meetings at press conferences at the back.
There's been a lot of discussion in America over the last 24 hours about paracetamol and whether it should be used and whether it could be dangerous to expectant mothers. A lot of Australians might be worried about that and whether they should use paracetamol. Have you got any... What can you say to Australians about the...
Well, we have our own TGA, which gives our advice on health issues. Last one.
Your address tomorrow, what's the main point you want to get across about Australia?
That we're a country that punches above our weight. We're a middle power. We are players in the world. We have an international outlook, and we're a country that engages respectfully with our partners as well. And I think the way that we deal in our region as well, we are a middle power globally, but in our region, in the Pacific and in ASEAN, we're significant. And we engage, and my government is forward-leaning in engaging with our neighbours. Thanks very much. Thanks very much.